contribution audio where it's not quite so mission critical. We're also looking at installation audio, maybe getting audio into reception areas so that you walk into the broadcaster and there's nice, you can hear the live feed of the station in different parts of the building and just using a Cat5 Ethernet network to distribute that. Having said that, even at this level, this is a low-cost product. If you compare this to an APT codec or a Maya codec or the Broadcom codec I'm going to discuss, it's a low-cost product. And even at this level, we have a USB stick on the decoder. You can fill it up with audio files. If the network breaks, it will play locally off that USB stick. Audio logging. Audio logging is something Sonifex have a lot of experience in. This is for compliance purposes. And we have a range of audio logging solutions. It's a 4-channel platform, and you can expand it, you can bank them up together, and you can work them remotely from a Windows platform to control the logging of your station. Oh, got that one twice. Right, I wanted to say a little bit more about the DHY03, the digital hybrid. I'm not going to go massively into all of these points. If you want a copy of this presentation at the end, it's very easy. Just contact me or any of the team, Mr. Dyer, and we can give you a copy. But there's a few things about this I would point out. The 75 dB line rejection is a really phenomenal figure. The automatic ducking facility is very useful. I've had a lot of people say that that works really, really nicely. And as I found in Japan, and I think on the next slide, the international profiles are, whoops, I've gone one too far. I'll just go back. Previous. Right, okay. International operation built in configurable settings. What we found with the HY series was very much developed in the UK. That's where we are. And you put them on the phone network in the UK, and the BBC use a load of them. And then you'll go to China or maybe India with the unit. Or where was I recently? I was having Vietnam. And you find that it's not interfacing with the network very well, the telephone network. So when we developed the DHY, we got all our distributors helping us. And there are international profiles. There's a profile for nearly every country. You can still adjust it. So, for example, you might find here in Sri Lanka that there isn't specifically a Sri Lankan profile. Not sure if there is. Either you'll find one that works. Maybe the China profile works, or the India profile might work according to the nature of your telephone network here. Or you can modify it and still get in there. We're always expanding that. In fact, we had to for NHK, make some changes to the Japanese profile. You do it once, you store it, it's in the ROM, it's in all future units that we ship. So it really is a lovely little product. Okay, mixers. A lot of you know our mixers very well, so I don't need to go into too much detail here. The S0 is our entry-level mixer. We sell this into community radio stations, campus radio, hospital radio, these kinds of markets. It is still a broadcast mixer. I mean, for example, it's got a built-in analog telephone hybrid on it. A lot of people, they try and use a little Mackie desk or a little Yamaha console or something, and you get a lot of bang for your buck out of those consoles. But if you're training people who are going to be future engineers in radio, or if you're actually on air with this on a fairly regular basis, it's worth the investment in a broadcast console, even if it's an entry-level broadcast console. I mean, for example, automatic speaker muting when a mic is open. That's very, very important in a radio situation, as I'm sure you would all know. The S1, it's frozen again. I know what has caused it to freeze. It's I right-clicked by mistake, but it's woken up. The S1 takes that a step further. It adds balanced inputs and outputs. It adds a guest headphone talkback solution, and it adds a USB port. So you can actually connect this to a computer. The computer will recognize it as an external USB audio device. There's also a digital audio I/O on the product. One of the things that we've done very successfully is we've gone into the market of offering complete packages. Now, where we have a dealer, that's often not the case. A dealer will quite often, like People's Media Network, have the expertise to put together a package, whatever you want. There's other times when you want the speed and convenience of basically buying something that's already wired, ready to go, And that we can do. This is the portable package. You can see there it's on wheels. The flap on the side folds down. You can just take the monitor off, the loudspeakers off. You can get that in the back of a truck. You can flight case it. That's very, very handy for getting a radio station up and running, especially in an area that maybe has suffered a weather disaster. For example, if you've had a typhoon or the monsoons have been very heavy and your facility is badly damaged, wheel one of those in, put it out the flight case, and you're away. A small low-power transmitter in a BW Broadcast or Elenos or something, and you can be up and running very, very quickly. There's pretty much everything you need in there, apart from the transmitter itself. Right, the S2. The S2 is really sort of building on the Sovereign console that I know is quite popular here. I've seen a few of them here. What we did when we developed the S2, looking at the market, we thought, do we develop a digital mixer? There's lots of manufacturers developing digital mixers. And we decided that our customers, they wanted to have a very painless upgrade path. They wanted to be able to interface with digital equipment, but they didn't want to necessarily, if you like, throw out the technology that they had and start from scratch with something completely new. The other thing that was apparent was that more and more mixing console manufacturers were stopping making analog consoles. So if you are in the market for a console and you're still looking at maybe what might an analog console be able to offer, your choices are fewer. And every year we think we won't sell any more of S2s, and every year we sell more than we ever expected. Now, it's not just an analog console in the sense of looking back and saying, oh, it's analog. This console has digital interfacing. It has ASCBU inputs. It can have dual stereo ASCBU channels. It's got ASCBU outputs, so it will interface digitally. At the same time, it's got the benefits of an analog design, the modularity, for example. So if you have a channel which is giving you some problems, you pull the channel out, console can be operated without the channel. The channel can be maintained and repaired and dropped back in. I know it's, if you like, stating the obvious about analog consoles, modular analog consoles, but in the digital world, that is not possible. You spill a cup of coffee on a digital desk, you're going to take the whole desk out. So we still find, especially in markets such as Taiwan and Vietnam, we're still selling a lot of these. And what do those markets have in common with Sri Lanka? They're islands in fairly hot tropical climates with sometimes atrocious weather, lots of coastal areas where the air is very humid and salty. And a lot of customers still a little bit anxious about taking that big leap into a digital console in those areas. This allows them to interface digitally with CD players, with playout systems, with digital recorders, with other digital devices, but it also offers a speed of maintenance, the familiarity of the operators that you expect from an analog console. There's a few things about it as well I would point out. The faders are basically, the signal path is VCA, fader-controlled VCAs, which is very accurate. There's dual redundant power supply on it. That is an option. As standard, it comes with a single power supply, but most of our customers are specifying dual power supply. So you've got dual redundant power supply, very accurate audio signal path, and a whole range of customization options. This is the other thing that it's very hard to do with a digital console. The scale of digital electronics requires that you mass produce. You therefore cannot tend to customize digital consoles. So we have a whole range of different input modules. We have telco modules. We have dual stereo, digital, and analog with or without EQ. We've got mic line channels. So you can configure the console in any way you like. Meter bridge, we have source selectors, VU meters, PPM meters. We've got timers, talkback, all sorts of things. Again, you can customize it. And as with the S0 and S1, we can then productize that into a complete studio. We can supply the furniture, or you can supply yourself. If you want, we can work with the local distributor and build a complete system, all pre-wired, ready and tested before it's delivered. These are just some of the examples of the furniture layouts that we can offer. You can see, I'll just see those there. Oh, I've got to the end. So that's sound effects. Any questions before I move on? Oh, you're all very polite. Okay, so I mentioned that I work with a few different companies. And I also mentioned that my knowledge of the Sri Lankan market came from visits over here a few years back when I was working with APT, the Codec company. I think quite a few of you are using APT codecs. Would I be right? Tell you what, bit of audience participation. Put your hand up if you've got or have used an APT codec. Oh, that got me nowhere. I think there's a fair few. So, I want to say a little bit about audio over IP and introduce a new codec and also a new codec concept to you. The company Broadcom is another British company that I work with. They're a 20-year-old company, and they are the UK reseller for APT, for Maya, Qubit, and other manufacturers. They are absolute specialists in building and managing complete networks for contribution and distribution. One of the reasons that they've been so successful for APT is that they don't just resell the product. Very much like you've been hearing here today, their business is that they will take care of the complete end-to-end network and basically offer the customer a managed service, part of which, of course, is the codec. So if you're going to do that, if you're going to say, right, we're going to offer you a service, you have to have a lot of fail-safe and redundancy solutions. If I've sold you a network link and there's an outage on it and you shout at me, or worse still, hit me with a penalty clause, I'm then going to back-to-back that onto the telco. I'm going to say to the telco, look, your network collapsed. So there was an outage, and now I'm having to pay out a penalty to my customer. So we were looking at that in Broadcom. We were thinking, this is crazy, because you'll just end up arguing with the network over whose problem it is. And I know for a fact, I've been there, I've had this happen to me, that these big telcos, like Vodafone, like Orange, like Cable and Wireless, they are full of small print. And you say there was an outage at 11 minutes past 2 last Tuesday, and they'll go, yes, but it's within our permitted limit, our permitted numbers of outages in the year. Very difficult. Much better is to design a solution that has redundancy built in. If you can have a redundant protected solution, you don't have to get into those arguments, and your customers will be happy. So that is the speciality of Broadcom. So in 2011, Broadcom launched its own product for the first time and migrated not just from being a reseller, but having its own product. The product was called the PIPA. PIPA stands for Pure IP Audio, and it's a packet replicator. And I'll talk a bit more about packet replication as we go, but it was the world's first packet replicator for audio over IP. It wasn't a codec. It worked with whatever choice of codec that the customer wanted. It will work with APT, it will work with Maya, it will work with any type of codec. But it was the first in the market. And then last year, we launched the C211 codec. And that is the unit I want to talk to you about today. So it consists of two models, the C211 DT and the C211 MP. It's largely the MP I'll be talking to you about. I will cover the DT as well. So first of all, what are the applications for it? The applications for this are where audio distribution, delivery of the audio is considered critical. Typically, that does mean a studio to transmitter link, but could also be program contribution, remote flyaway kits. We've currently got a customer evaluating these to give them to his team who will be covering the World Cup in Brazil. Is it Brazil? I think it is, isn't it? I'm not a football fan. But he'll be taking them out. You've got a live link to Brazil. You're going to be on air. You're doing an interview at the side of the pitch with a world-class footballer. It's critical. It can't drop. Long-haul applications as well, such as news gathering. In a similar vein, if you need to get coverage into somewhere like the Philippines has just had its typhoon, and you're doing a live link, and the normal links are down, this might be your only way of getting audio back. Again, it's critical. So here's a typical studio to transmitter link for audio over IP. And you can see that on the diagram, there's 2 links, okay? There's 2 IP ports. So for the first time, I'm just going to mention to you that these units have dual IP. And you're probably thinking, oh, yeah, that's great. That's a main IP link and a backup IP link. Remember what I said earlier about packet replication, how I would explain that? It's actually a lot cleverer than that. If you bear with me, hopefully I'll be able to reveal to you how we use those 2 links as I progress. So it's been designed for very professional environments. We looked long and hard at different platforms. In the end, we went to see our friends in APT at their head offices in Belfast, where I used to work. And we came to an agreement with them to take their hardware platform. So it's all licensed, it's all above board. There's nothing dodgy about it. We haven't copied the product. We have chosen that platform because it's a very good platform. The benefit to you in the market is that anything that I offer to you is compatible with the APT units already delivered into Sri Lanka, and that's a lot of them. So it's offering broadcast quality audio that's linear PCM uncompressed and also enhanced aptX. I used to do presentations like this on enhanced aptX. I did one at the NAB, at Broadcast Asia, and I used to demonstrate the sound quality difference between enhanced aptX and MPEG. Happy to do that if any of you want me to. Trust me. Enhanced aptX is a very superior compression system. So we're delivering you the best possible audio, either linear, uncompressed if you're a purist, or enhanced aptX if you have to compress because the bandwidth isn't there for pure audio, but you want the best quality. It's DSP based. There's no PC components inside. And in fact, it's a single motherboard. There's not even ribbon cables left, right, and center. I did open another manufacturer's Codec once, a well-known company I'm not going to name. I counted 13 different PCBs, all linked together with bits of ribbon cable. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. Only one of those has to go, and you'd be off air. There's also a technology in this unit called SureStream. SureStream is, again, from APT. And this is really very important part of the redundancy solution. It's not the only part, though. So here's a contribution network, studio to studio, and then studio to head-end, and then head-end to distribution. The units can multicast, so you can send a multicast stream onto the network and distribute that to an infinite number of sites. It will also multiple unicast, the difference being that the network does not have to be IGMP compatible, and you can send multiple streams each to individual sites. A multicast stream is one stream. It's one stream which goes onto the network and can be received, it can be pulled off the network from any destination. It's great, but the network design has to be IGMP compatible. Multiple unicasts will run on any old network. So although it's not as efficient because you have to put multiple streams onto the network, it's much more forgiving of network design. So when you start configuring, linking up multiple sites, you need to know that this codec can do unicast, it can do point-to-point, it can do point-to-multipoint, and pretty much any combination of those things. I think I've covered all of those points already. Right, so here's the front panel of the unit. It's a 19-inch rack mount unit. And as I've already mentioned, it is compatible with the APT, the Meridian and the Horizon Next Gen, and the Oslo AOIP, all of which I know are present here in the market in Sri Lanka. As well as a headphone output for confidence monitoring, you've got a signal level indicator and operational LEDs. When I worked for APT, I used to sell the Horizon. I sold a few here. One of the problems with the Horizon is that there's no meters on the front. It's a simple thing. You get a service support call. I'd have somebody talking to me, and he'd say, there's no audio, something's gone wrong. And I would say, well, are the meters going up and down? He said, I can't tell you. So I begged APT at the time to put meters on every product. It's so important. Broadcom are not going to make that mistake. And I don't think APT do anymore, to be fair. Now here's the back panel. Now here you will see things you're familiar with, and you'll see things that you're probably not familiar with. On the left, you see analog inputs and outputs. Over here is the mouse. There. In the middle, you see the GPIO. I've already mentioned that there are 2 IP ports. There they are. On the right, you see ACBU. And then you're seeing this, and you're probably thinking, what's that then? What this is absolutely key to the uniqueness of the product. You've got an AC input, a battery duplex input, and 4 DC outputs. So I'm going to introduce to you here a concept which I call the codec, which keeps your link alive. Remember what we've been talking about in terms of downtime? This is a really key point. So your link, it's essential. You think, okay, yep, audio to transmission site. We're delivering audio over an IP link. Of course it's essential. But it's not just essential for audio. You have a look at any of the transmitters which are on the market now, Elanos, BW Broadcast, who I'm working with, Cielco, anybody's, Nortel, Harris. You look at the audio processors, again, BW Broadcast, but Omnia, Orban, any of them, RDS encoders. They all have IP management on them. Go to any trade fair and the sales representatives will have their laptops open and they'll be controlling the transmitter from their laptop. Same with the telemetry systems. So if your link goes down, you're in the dark. You've got no audio going to the site because the link's down. And you're going to get an alarm and somebody will tell you you've gone off air. But you're really in the dark. You don't know, is this something simple? Have I just got to reboot a router? Or have I got to call the army? Has a bomb gone off? You don't know. It could be anything or it could be nothing. You are in the dark. So our thinking, as I started out at the beginning by saying, is to protect that link, keep that link up at all possible. And this is where this comes in. The primary AC input powers the codec. They're off this DC bus. And it also powers 4 other outputs. So you would connect your ADSL modem to this one here. I've already mentioned that this unit supports 2 IP ports. So you've got another ADSL modem for the second IP network.